Another influential woman who was raised near the famous Burned Over district in upstate New York was Jane Roberts. In the early 1960s, she and her partner, Robert Butts, began experimenting with a Ouija board.
We borrowed a Ouija board. We didn't even buy one. And after, I forget, once or twice or something, we started to get stuck on the board. The pointer would go over the alphabet and spell messages.
Okay.
And after a while, the messages said they came from a personality called Seth. The first thing I thought of was, well, it's the subconscious. Rob was pushing it, or Rob would say I was pushing it. So we went through that long kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And after only maybe 5 or 6, 7 sessions with that, Seth came through vocally. I would start to know what was going to be said, and then I would start to want to speak. I just began speaking the words automatically for Seth without knowing what I was saying until I came out of trance. There was no training per se with it, no self-hypnosis, nothing. It just came. Although I did give consent. That is, had I not wanted to do it, it wouldn't have happened. Okay. But I was so curious. I wanted to know what was happening.
The revolutionary book, Seth Speaks, was published in the early 1970s and went on to become part of the game-changing 32-book collection referred to as the Seth Material.
The first time I heard about the idea of channeling was when I came across Jane Roberts and the Seth Material. And that's when that word sort of started sticking in the nomenclature of the New Age movement.
When I was a kid, one of my mom's favorite books was Seth Speaks. Seth is a higher level spirit that was being channeled through Jane Roberts. Now, Jane Roberts was one of those fun people that didn't know she had these abilities, just it came on like a flash, like a blip of information coming through. So she figured, okay, this is a spirit trying to talk. I should do what everyone else does, grab the Ouija board. And that worked. That worked for a while. But then she realized she was more of a mental medium and that the spirit was speaking through her, doing the automatic writing thing, communicating with her. So she was writing all of these books as Seth channeling through her.
My consciousness was just gone. And it wasn't an out of body in the respect that I had another body, or thought I did. My consciousness through like the window and then into the leaves and into everything.
Great.
And it wasn't until I came back that I found this script and realized that, I had to have written it. Yeah. I wasn't aware of my body at all, or the manuscript or writing or anything. But the thing of it was that the stuff that was in the script was stuff I had felt while I was out. But when I was out, I would go in atoms and molecules, and I felt their consciousness. But then when I read the script, it was terribly hard to accept portions of it because it pretty much went against what I've been taught.
One of the biggest messages from Seth that I think is so profound is that we create our reality. Whatever our inner world is, whatever we think, believe, and feel, we're projecting that outward, and that we'll find ways to make that reality conform to our belief, and that we create that. And my mom loved these books. She talked about Seth all the time. And I think that was one of the things that kept her positive throughout her life and her spiritual development, is these lessons that came from Seth through Jane Roberts just really enhanced her spiritual work and her spiritual practices. Simply just by knowing this information helped her out dramatically.
People, you might use them or think of them as symbols, or you might, no matter how you relate to them, they have their own fantastic individuality. And whenever any beliefs, even our own, blind you to that, you have lost. Whenever you relate to someone as simply a belief, or you get your back up and you don't see their reality, then we've lost. We'll bring you closer to people. It will not divide you. If it divides you, that is not what it is.
Jane Roberts' material, the one thing that sticks with me is the point of power is the now. And I think that was a pivotal piece of information for everybody to hear. And so I began to realize maybe I could do that myself. And so when I did start going into medicine work, I would be having these things come forth that were well beyond my pay grade. I thought, this is Hindu material at the essence of these philosophical teachings and so forth. And that was thrilling too, because I think it's important for people, and especially women, to feel like they can be bringing forth this high level philosophical information as well.
Interestingly enough, the Seth Material came out at the right time. It was in the 60s, where people were already starting to explore alternate paths of spirituality. They were starting to question orthodox religion, and they're clamping down on what spiritual practice has to be. So people were now open and trying to explore some of this extra material. They wanted to know what the nature of spirituality versus religion was. So the Seth Material came in at the right time to actually spawn that New Age movement, that the spiritual world can be peace, love, and light, and happiness, that you can achieve these higher states of being without the rigorous orthodoxy, that you can be that conduit of spiritual growth rather than some church telling that you have to do it our way, and that's the only way. So the timing of Seth's Material was perfect to spawn this whole New Age movement so that we could actually tune in and become our own spiritual teachers.